Free the land, free the land. Greetings, revolutionary greetings. Free the land. Good evening, good evening. Good evening, my brother, good evening. Greetings, Biafrans. Greetings, New Africans. Greetings, black people. Greetings to all freedom-loving people, man. As you come into this live, man, please share this live with your timeline. I'm just going to wait a few seconds, few minutes, let people get in this live. I know it's been a minute since I went live, but I'm here, y'all. I'm still here. All hail Biafra. All hail New Africa. All hail freedom-loving people, indigenous people, African people, black people, man. I love y'all. I'm back. All hail Biafra. All hail New Africa. Biafrans, share this with every Biafran group. Share this with all your family and friends. I just had to hop on here real quick because I know it's been a minute since I went live, but I just wanted to show my face and to show my solidarity and show my love to all my people and all the Biafran people globally, that black people in America, specifically me, New Africans in America, we still here, y'all. We still riding with y'all. We still supporting Biafra. We still riding with the struggle. We still fighting to free all political prisoners and prisoners of war, free Mutulu Shakur, free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I just wanted to hop on here real quick because it's a lot that's been going on. As far as violence, everything that's been going on all across this globe, man. Like, trust me, I seen what's been going on in Nigeria. I see the terrorism still going on in Nigeria. I see them still killing innocent Christians, innocent Biafrans. I see how the Fulanis and the jihadist movement in Biafra, in Nigeria, still killing Igbo people, still killing Biafran people. And I just wanted to get on here real quick to make that known that we see what's going on here in America. The black people in America, Ikechukwu, Haki Kweli Shakur, I see what's going on. I'm not ignoring it because I've been having a lot of Biafran brothers and sisters hitting me up in the inbox like, brother, do you see what's going on in Nigeria? Trust me, I'm always tuned into Nigeria, y'all. This is our ancestral land. This is my ancestral land. This is my bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Igbo land is my bloodline. I'm always watching and you know, paying attention to what's going on internationally. You know what I'm saying? That's my job. That's what I do. I pay attention to international politics. I see what's going on in Nigeria. And right now, you know, as I'm let me share this with my main page, y'all. I'm gonna share this with my main page real quick. Let me share this with my personal page. As I come on this live as well, man, I'm letting it be known that black people in America are still calling for the government, the federal government of Nigeria, to stop the genocide on Biafran people, stop the genocide on Christian people in northern Nigeria, and stop the terrorism, y'all. The terrorism is getting out of hand. And also, the terrorism isn't just restricted to Africa. The terrorism is going on all across the globe to black people, especially what's going on here in the Empire of the United States of America with those 10 people that were gunned down, killed by a white supremacist terrorist in Buffalo, New York. Because I ain't been on here in a long time, man. It's been a lot of terrorism, a lot of violence going on, you know what I'm saying, across the planet right now. It's a lot of poverty going on across the planet right now. It's a lot of innocent people, black people being murdered all across the globe right now. It's mass shootings going on all across the globe, not just restricted to America. It's mass shootings going on every day in Nigeria. If you're not paying attention, it's mass shootings going on every day in Nigeria. It has been going on every day in Nigeria for over the last 25 years to 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So, black people, we got to get it together. We got to get this communication together. We got to get this solidarity together. New Africans, black Americans, You got to start paying attention to more than what's going on within the empire of the United States of America. You need to pay attention to what's going on in Africa, Nigeria, and Igbo land. Period. My brothers and sisters in Igbo land is being murdered and killed every single day by jihadists, terrorists, extremists. Extremism is going on all across the planet, whether it's white supremacist extremism, which is going on inside of America. You know what I'm saying? With black people being murdered and killed every day inside the empire of the United States of America. If you're not paying attention. Innocent kids, innocent babies, elementary kids are being murdered and killed by sadistic, psycho, domestic terrorists inside the empire of the United States of America. So today's topic, real quick, while I hop on here. Because like I said, when I do these lives, man, our ecosystem and our ecosystem of, it's an ecosystem of oppression. Y'all got to mind me, my signal is kind of acting up. You know what I'm saying? But stay with me. Salute my brother. Salute early. When I do these lives, man, it's an ecosystem of terrorism that's going on all across the globe, which I'm going to connect with this topic real quick. I had to hop on here since today is so-called Juneteenth, so-called federal holiday. I wanted to paint a clear narrative of Juneteenth holiday, commemoration, whatever they want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Because our people need to know the truth when it's coming when it comes to slavery in 1865. 1865, y'all. I want y'all to know that. And this is not even just pertaining to black people in America. 1865 pertains to black people across the globe. Slavery pertains to black people across the globe because slavery is still alive. Slavery never ended in 1865, y'all. Because if you take a look around, if you take a look around today, slavery is still alive today all across the planet, especially in Africa. Slavery is still alive, especially today in Africa. Period. And when I'm talking about slavery, y'all, I'm talking about physical, spiritual, and mental. Colonialism. People got to understand that colonialism, neo-colonialism, all these things are alive today. And these are symptoms or extensions of what we know as slavery. Period. Period. People are enslaved to a lot of things that never died in 1865. And let me make this a better understanding. Let me paint it as a better understanding. When I'm talking about Juneteenth and I'm talking about this specific date, 1865. You got to understand when the Civil War was being fought or when the Civil War was coming to an end. There were a lot of wars going on across the planet. In Africa, too. There were a lot of wars still going on during the periods of the Civil War, going on all across the world. Period. But I'm speaking specifically on this 1865 tip. Please share this live. It's about to get deep. Exactly, my brother. Exactly. Igbos are still in slavery in Nigeria, in the Western world and the Eastern world. Period. Black people are still in slavery right now. But let me paint the narrative of this more clearly. June 19th, 1865. Let's talk about this real quick. This was so-called a date in history that pertains to the state of Texas. These ancestors in Texas, right? These ancestors in Texas were still working on plantations, still working in slave labor, and they didn't know that the Civil War or the so-called North had won the Civil War over the South. So these were the last ancestors, you see what I'm saying, that were told that they were free, so-called free, emancipation. And that's another tricky word. Emancipation is a tricky word. It's a colonial subject terminology. When we talking about emancipation, it's a colonial terminology. It's not a liberation terminology. So when you're hearing black individuals or white individuals using terminologies like emancipation, your antennas and your consciousness needs to automatically raise. You should be ready to question that. What is emancipation? Emancipation is something that describes what an individual or a government or a state, or in this case, a plantation owner, so-called gives people who are in bondage, who are still in chains, who are still in slavery. This is the so-called, announcement of releasing people out of slavery or releasing people out of chains by their enslaver. This is what emancipation is, brothers and sisters. Emancipation is something that your slave owner or your slave master are so-called giving you. Now ask yourself the common sense of a freedom-fighting people or a liberating people or a people or lovers of freedom that knows what true freedom is. Who gives you freedom? Who can give you freedom? Brothers and sisters, who can give you freedom? There's no man, no government, no nation or state that can give an individual or their people freedom. Nobody. If somebody tells you that, they are trying to fuck with your mind. They are fucking with your consciousness. They are fucking with your mind. When somebody says that they can give you something, you as a man, you as a freedom-loving people should know that that is not true freedom. That's what emancipation is. When somebody who has conquered you, somebody who has enslaved you, gives you something. This is something in the common sense, revolutionary mind who should not want that. That is something you should not want. You should not want your oppressor or your enslaver to give you something that you know that they cannot give you. They can't give us Biafra. They can't give us New Africa. They can't give you independence. They can't give you freedom. This is something that your enslaver cannot give you, brothers and sisters. Your enslaver cannot give you nothing. Period. This is why this date is something that you need to piggyback off to teach the real truth on what freedom, independence, sovereignty is for a people that's struggling and fighting to get out of slavery. Juneteenth 1865 does not symbolize liberation. It does not symbolize freedom. It doesn't symbolize independence. It doesn't symbolize restoration. It doesn't symbolize sovereignty. It doesn't symbolize nationhood. Juneteenth doesn't symbolize that. Juneteenth symbolizes emancipation, something that your oppressor is trying to give you, which is a false reality of what freedom is, on what you had before you became an enslaved people. Emancipation can't free the chains of colonialism off your mind. Emancipation can't free you out of colonialism of your culture, your spirituality, your sovereignty, your independence. Emancipation can't give you that. So as I'm on this live today, I'm not bashing Juneteenth 1865, but I'm telling you the truth. In 1865, there were Africans, new Africans, who were still in slavery after Juneteenth 1865. You want to know why? You want to know why? Because during 1865 to 1866, brothers and sisters, over 1 million, and we don't even know the correct data, but over 1 million. We're going to just use that as an estimate. Over 1 million Africans who were so-called freed off of southern plantations in the Empire of America died. Died. Why did they die? Died. This is the side of history and the side of American history, colonialized history, that even black folks in high places don't want to talk about, don't want to educate their people about. They just want to keep giving you a false reality of what liberation and freedom is. They want to keep painting and writing this narrative, this colonial narrative, that your people were so-called freed after Juneteenth, 1865. Lies. Lies. How can you free yourself? How can you free your people when you want to perpetuate and continue colonial education to your babies? Why do you want to keep teaching your babies false narratives and false history that you know did not take place for your people? Because even pertaining to 1865 today, new Africans and black people in America, where are you free at? Where are you free? Are you free economically? Are you free culturally? Are you free politically? Where's your land? Where's your nation? Where's your land? Where's your nation? Black people in America, black African Americans, where is your land? Where is your government? Where is your sovereignty? Where is your independence? That's true freedom. This is what you had before they enslaved you and brought you across the transatlantic. Your indigenous reality. See, a lot of black people in America, you are out of your indigenous reality, your indigenous consciousness, your indigenous worldviews. This is why you have to study indigenous culture, traditions, history, period. Period. 1865, 1866 led to something horrific and what they call the worstest biological. Listen to what I'm saying. This is the worstest period, and some historians have called the worstest biological terrorist and genocide in history, was after the date of Juneteenth, 1865, where over 1 million Africans died from smallpox. Smallpox, people. Write that down. So you can go Google this stuff. Don't take my word. You have to research this stuff yourself, my brothers and sisters. You have to research it yourself. 1 million Africans died from smallpox. Because after Juneteenth, 1865, guess where our ancestors were taken to and put in. And this is facts where I live at right now in Richmond, Virginia. I even have historical pictures of it. A lot of contraband. Write this word down. Contraband. Contraband means property. It's another word for slave. Because once you research this word contraband and slavery, you have to research it with the two words put together. Contraband and slavery. They took the word contraband, which is nothing but property. Contraband means property. In the most elementaryest terms, contraband means property. So they switched out the word slave. And if you don't know what contraband is products that's on ships and things of that nature that people have to claim. Governments, and nation states and things of that nature who's involved in international trade of shipping. Contraband is something that you have to claim as property. All these Africans that were so-called freed after 1865, that were so-called emancipated, were hauled off into slave camps called contraband camps. I'm not lying to you, brothers and sisters. Why don't none of these black historians or none of these white historians or these public education systems teach our people about this? Millions and thousands of black people in America were hauled off into contraband camps in the deep south and in the northern states, the northern industrial states. This is facts, brothers and sisters. This ain't nothing I'm lying to you about. These contraband camps, these slave camps, because you got to remember, when so-called Lincoln and all these so-called Union troops and the United States of America government, period, when they so-called supposedly gave black people emancipation and freedom, they don't tell you about the thousands of contraband camps that black people in America was hauled off into because they had nowhere to go. They had nowhere to go. Where was these black people going when they were so-called freed from southern plantations? Where were they going to? They had nowhere to go, brothers and sisters. They had no jobs because they confiscated most of the white people's plantations. Other white people claiming other people's property and land. And part of that claiming property, which black people were when they were freed when they were so-called emancipated in 1865, you were property. Your ancestors were property. Hauled off in horrific contraband camps, where these brothers and sisters died from starvations. Kids, mothers, fathers, man. Elders, black elders died from starvation and smallpox. This is the stuff they don't teach y'all. This is the stuff that they try to keep suppressed and repressed to make it seem like white people are giving you something or trying to make it look like they gave you freedom, when actuality, they only gave you death and hunger. They only gave you death and hunger. So write this down. You need to get this book. It's a book out right now called Sick from Freedom, written by a man by the name of Josh Downs. It's called Sick from Freedom. African Americans' suffrage and illnesses after Juneteenth, 1865. Genocide, biological genocide. Matter of fact, Biafrans, it's the same thing that happened in the Biafran Nigeria Civil War. Remember when the Nigerian federal government starved Igbo people to death, cut off all their resources, cut off their food, cut off every resources that a people needs to survive. They did that in the Biafran Nigeria Civil War. And babies, mothers, and fathers, over 3 million to 6 million Biafran Igbo people died from starvation. Died from starvation. This same thing happened here in the United States of America in 1866, 1867, 1868, when black people were so-called freed, so-called emancipated on southern plantations. Millions of black people, Africans, died on southern plantations in slave camps. They don't teach you this. See how our history from here to Africa to Nigeria, it's the same genocidal story. It's the same genocidal terrorism. Black people catching terroristic murder and genocide all across the planet at the same time. At the same time. At the same time. At the same time. So, because you got to understand history. This is the only way that you can free your mind from colonial. You have to understand history. You got to use your common sense mind. If black people were enslaved on plantations in America, when they were so-called given emancipation, where were they going to, y'all? How was they going to survive? Where was they going to get their food from? Where was they going to get their medicine from? How was these black Americans going to survive if they were so-called emancipated? How was it going? Because the white man wasn't going to give them no food. The white man wasn't going to give our ancestors no shelter, no housing, no decent clothing at that point in time in 1865. So where did these ancestors go to in 1865? Boom. They had to go back to the same people that so-called emancipated them. Millions of Africans had to go back to the same oppressor, the same terrorist, the same plantation owner. Soon as 1865 was over with, these black ancestors had to go back to the same plantations because they had nowhere to go. They don't teach you about that history. They had nowhere to go, y'all. So they had to go back to the plantation and beg the same oppressors, the same murderers, the same terrorists to let them back on the plantation to work for their slave master in order to just eat so they wouldn't die from starvation. Facts. Facts. And this is why I don't want Biafrans, Igbo people, African people globally. I don't want you to fall for the fake illusion and narrative of these holidays in America because they're lies, brothers and sisters. They're lies. They are illusions of what we're fighting for, which is liberation, freedom, and independence. It's all illusion. It's illusion. And like I said, this is not the bash Juneteenth holiday, commemoration, or none of that. Because those ancestors do deserve recognition. They do deserve for what they went through and what they sacrificed themselves for and the slave labor that they went through and the horrific things that they went through by this United States government. Yes, they do deserve that commemoration and recognition. I'm not taking that from them. My issue is that you must take Juneteenth 1865 and use it for a bigger picture and a bigger narrative of truth. Reparations, reconciliation, and truth, y'all. This is what we need. This is what we need. We need reconciliation and truth. Reconciliation and truth. Juneteenth 1865 has to be used for a bigger narrative for African people inside the Empire of America. You must take Juneteenth and paint the narrative to the truth of the narrative of even what's going on with black people today in America and across the globe because slavery continues and genocide continues across the globe. Genocide continues inside the empire. Black people are still treated as 3/5 of a human inside of America. Black people are still incarcerated at high rates inside the empire of America. Black people are still being shot down by the police inside of America. Black people still have poor housing, poor food, no resources to even deem themselves as a free people. How can you even deem yourself as a free people when you have not obtained the things that makes people a free people? You have not even obtained none of these things, these tangible things. When it comes to economics, social, political reality of your people inside the Empire of America, you have not obtained these things. This is why Juneteenth need to be taken as a date for real historians and real truth tellers and real leaders and real freedom people to paint the true narrative of what happened to our people after 1865. Reconstruction. Before I hop off here, this is something else that you need to teach your babies, your kids, and African people globally about. What about Reconstruction? Why are y'all people walking around acting like Reconstruction didn't happen? Reconstruction was a failure. Reconstruction was a failure for black people inside of America. Reconstruction was the re-enslavement. Reconstruction was the re-enslavement of black people, African people in America. Reconstruction, some of the most horrific genocides of terrorism took place to black people after 1865. Sharecropping during Reconstruction. Sharecropping was a terroristic, economic, exploitive system Sharecropping was nothing that was valuable or productive or profitable for new African black people inside of America. Sharecropping was slavery. Sharecropping was slavery. This is what the capitalist system you see going on all across the world today when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to gardening, cultivation of land, growing crops, and things of this nature. Your ancestors inside of America was being exploited by sharecropping. That was slavery. That was slavery. Fannie Lou Hamer, the great black activist out of Mississippi, told y'all about sharecropping. Sharecropping was slavery. So how are you free? How are black people freed? How did Juneteenth 1865 free people? How is Juneteenth 1865 Independence Day? I'm seeing a lot of nonsense across the internet from black people, y'all, that don't know no better. And this is the thing about it, they just don't know no better. They just don't know no better. Sharecropping was slavery, y'all. Jim Crow was slavery. Some of the most horrific genocides took place in Jim Crow period of time. Convict leasing program was slavery. It says it right in the Constitution. The 13th Amendment told you that you wasn't free after 1865. Read the United States Constitution. The United States Constitution will paint the narrative and the reality of black people inside the empire of the United States of America and the reality of slavery, period. The reality of slavery, period. The 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution states clearly that no man is free unless he commits a crime in the United States of America. And it gives the United States of America's troops, occupation, troops, police, government to lock you up in prison, in jail, and re-enslave you. It states it clearly in the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment debunks Juneteenth 1865. It debunks Juneteenth 1865. Reconstruction. Reconstruction, y'all. By W.E.B. Du Bois. You need this book in your library. Reconstruction. Black Reconstruction from 1860 to 1880. This whole book tells you about economic slavery. To put it in elementary terms. Because you got to understand, today's slavery is economic. It's always been economic. Slavery is about economics. Period. Wage labor is slave labor. Wage labor is slave labor. It went from chattel slavery to economic slavery. Reconstruction, y'all. You have to study Black Reconstruction period. You have to study that. You have to study Black Reconstruction. From the 1860s all the way up until the early 1920s. These white folks was going around the United States of America destroying black towns, destroying Black Wall Street, destroying anything that was economic, productive to black folks. They murdered black people for it. They lynched black people for it. They took black folks' land. They took black people's land. The Devil's Punch Bowl in Mississippi that took place in 1865, after 1865, the devil Punch Bowl in Mississippi where they buried over 20,000 Africans, 20,000 people that they murdered in genocide in nameless graves in Mississippi? The Devil's Punch Bowl. Look that up, y'all. Those were so-called black people that were so-called emancipated. But they were murdered and tossed in nameless graves. Devil's Punch Bowl, Mississippi. Genocide. So how were black people free after 1865? I'm going to let y'all marinate on that. I'm going to let black people marinate on that. This is why I keep saying, and I'm going to always keep saying, until the correct narrative is taught and preached to our people, that slavery did not end in 1865. Because we got black people all across the globe who can testify to that even today. With what's going on today. With black people still being genocided today. As long as new African people, black people never receive reconciliation and truth through reparations, you will never ever be free. If black people never get the tangible resources, industrialization, land, and obtain all the tangible things and resources that are free people supposed to have and obtain, you're not free. That's called emancipation. That's not liberation. We know what true liberation is, new African people, Biafran people. We know what true liberation is. True liberation is nationhood, sovereign, on a land with a government that we can call our own. So let's keep pushing this narrative. Let's keep teaching liberation. Let's keep teaching our people what we're fighting for and what we're struggling for. We're fighting for independence totally. Self-governance totally. Free Biafra totally. New Africa totally. Ambazonia totally. Oduduwa nation totally. All free, loving nation peoples is what we're fighting for. We're not fighting for a false narrative. We're not fighting for a false reality, a false way of life and living in this world that we have the human right to self-determination for, that what our ancestors died for, which was self-determination, which is an international human right, y'all. Slavery didn't end in 1865, y'all. So I'm going to close out on that note, man. Ikechukwu, Haki Kweli Shakur, man. Free Biafra. Free New Africa. We see the terrorism, y'all. We see the terrorism, Biafrans. I'm still here with you. I'm still riding. Be a loyal enemy. Be a loyal enemy. Because your enemies have more faith in what you can do and what you can fight for than what you think you can fight for, y'all. And also, before I hop off of here, let me just put this out here for Biafran people. I see a lot of internal fighting going on inside the Biafran movement and the Biafran struggle between activists. Here's my take on that, because I've been getting Biafrans, who ask me about what's going on with this so-called activist by the name of Nelly, this so-called activist by the name of Simon. Let me tell y'all something, y'all, and what I'm true to and what I stand on, y'all. Look here, man. I'm representing the Biafra struggle from its purest form, from its purest freedom fighters, from its purest sacrificers. General Ikechukwu and what those Biafran ancestors and those Biafran freedom fighters stood on what General Ojukwu stood on, and what those Biafrans stood on from that period of time, from the Nigerian Biafran Civil War, is what I stand on. That's who I support. That's what I'm fighting for. That's what I'm advocating for when it comes to this Biafran struggle. All this internal fighting and bickering going on between these so-called leaders and so-called activists of the Biafran struggle, Haki Shakur ain't got no business with that. That don't concern me. That's their problems. That's their issues. I don't follow those individuals. Those individuals are not my leader. You see what I'm saying? Simon is not my leader. Nelly is not my leader. Those are not my leaders. The only leaders that I recognize inside the Biafran struggle and the Biafran movement is General Ojukwu, God bless his soul and spirit, and may his spirit live on forever, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. These are the only individuals. Listen to what I'm telling you, brothers and sisters. And share this video, Biafrans. Share this so people can understand who I stand with when it comes to this Biafran struggle. I don't follow these so-called IPOB leaders or activists, you know what I'm saying, that's on the internet, that's fighting amongst each other and beefing amongst each other. I don't follow no Nelly. I don't follow no Simon. I don't follow them. The only individuals I reckon, General Ojukwu, the gorilla of the Biafran struggle. Those are the only individuals I support. Now the rest of you Biafran brothers and sisters that's advocating for Biafra, that's fighting for Biafra, that's activists, that's freedom fighters, I love y'all. I stand in solidarity with y'all. I love y'all. But when it comes to this bickering and beefing and fighting inside the IPOB movement, inside the Biafran movement, I'm here to condemn it. I had to condemn it. And the reason why I'm condemning it, because I've seen what this leads to. This doesn't lead to a free Biafra, brothers and sisters. This doesn't lead to a free Africa. This doesn't lead to a free black people globally. No, this destroys movements. When you got so-called activists and leaders bickering and fighting inside of a movement that's predicated on the people, because the people are the strength of a movement. The people are the power, not leaders. Not leaders. Listen to what I'm telling you. The people are the power, Biafrans. Biafran people are the power. It's going to be the Biafran people that's going to free Biafra, not no so-called individualistic leaders or activists. Trust me, I seen how this ends, brothers and sisters. Trust me, I seen how this story ends. It doesn't end well. When you have a bunch of activists inside your movement that's fighting and bickering on who's the leaders or who's the advocates or who's the people's speakers, and end well. It doesn't end. So I don't support no Biafran internal fighting, internal bickering. I don't support it. And I'm staying out of it. It's not my business. What Simon does is not my business. What this Nelly lady doing is none of my business. But yes, love to Ife. That's Ife. I love you, Ife. I support. If it's not about Nnamdi Kanu, if it ain't about Ife, if it ain't about Lizzie, don't tell me about it. Those are the people I love. 65. The struggles for land, the struggles for reparations, the struggles for New Africa, the struggles for Biafra. I'm out, y'all. All hail Biafra.